Okay, so I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:23, or 5:23 first, 5:23. And we're gonna look at changes or additions to the agenda. We're going to go into executive session at 6 p.m. And I want to hold really firm to that because we have a fair bit to talk about in a short half hour. And if we can go into executive session earlier, that's probably better. So are there any other changes or additions to the agenda? Oh, the other change is that Ed was on vacation last week. Christine and I asked for a financials report, but Ed got that email this morning and we have not seen anything. So,
Today?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was a hope that we would have it and we don't, so we're not going to have that today. Last we knew we were doing okay. Yes, we knew. For budgeting insanity, the budget passed, but I guess we said that at the last meeting.
We still should celebrate.
We should still celebrate it. We should celebrate it every time.
Yeah.
Okay, and actually, Beth, I'll let you give an update on food service.
Sure.
I know you don't have anything to say. Like a sentence update would be nice. Okay, so we're gonna do Cheryl and Beth whenever Cheryl gets here. So any other changes or additions?
Just the resignation.
Oh, right, and the resignation. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay. Okay, so we'll move to approve the minutes of March 7th. Did enough people here read them? I did not see them. I mean, I saw the draft before.
Yeah, I mean,
typed.
it's so simple.
Yeah.
It's just what we vote, like,
Okay.
our positions.
So, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion.
I would second.
Okay, do you want me to write that down or you got it?
I got it.
Okay, tell us when to stop talking so you can type.
Keep going, I got it.
Okay, is there any discussion about the minutes? Besides the fact that I didn't find them in the Okay. All those in favor of approving the March 7th, 2019 minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Then I abstained because I didn't do it. So, public, welcome.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome public. So, I'm gonna start with the resignation. So I think we all have letters personalized and,
Yes, there's yours.
oh, come on in, perfect, perfect timing. I see you, Carol.
Yes.
Awesome, I'm Nikki. Okay, we're gonna take care of one order of business and then we'll be ready for you. What? Oh, okay, so, I think we all received letters from Croquet Bob. Which was very sweet. And so I guess we move to approve the letters. So we'll take,
I would move that we accept the resignation.
okay,
Second.
okay, so Sarah and Colleen. Croquet Bob did catch me in the hallway and said how much he enjoyed teaching our children. And that there were a few families that he really felt like he connected with in Hartland and is sad to see them go. But he wants to help with the transition and do whatever he can to make the program successful in Hartland. So, is there any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of accepting Croquet Bob's resignation, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, Cheryl, come sit at the table. Hey, wow, awesome.
Wow, I don't usually get that kind of greeting.
Reception.
I know, isn't that a great reception? Okay, we'll let you settle and talk to Cheryl. Cheryl, thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I'm Scott.
Yeah, we'll go around.
I see your signature quite often.
And I'm Nikki.
I'm Beth.
Christine, I think I see you at school sometimes.
Colleen Spence.
And Sarah Taylor.
Ed Connors,
Hello.
we met.
We have,
So where are you based out of? You're at the town.
I'm based out of my home.
Oh, you're in your home. Okay, I was gonna say, I didn't see you in the town offices.
No. No,
Okay.
it's been an interesting year working out the transition from a full-time treasurer
Mhm.
to the financial person who's full-time now, and my treasurer duties, which are 2 or 3 hours per week, but there's no space, permanent space in the town hall anymore.
Okay.
So the treasurer's office is pretty much a jump drive.
Okay.
And my desk.
Okay.
So,
And so you had, I think you had raised some concerns that you just wanted to talk through?
Well, only,
or-
and we had this conversation
Right.
earlier when the new software that the state has mandated. And I was taken aback, and the concern that I had, and we talked about it, was that it makes me uncomfortable knowing that checks are just printed out with my signature on it.
Mhm.
And so we had a conversation with Gail, and I kind of made my peace with it, but I just wanted to, since I had never met any of the
Yeah.
board
Yeah.
members,
No,
I
this
just
is great.
wanted to
Yeah.
say,
Thank you.
I have this concern. It's not as though we can really change it, but I just wanted to say it to
Yeah.
someone.
No, that's
And
that's
not
great.
having a presence in the town hall, sometimes I feel like that I'm out there by myself,
Mhm.
because,
Mhm.
and I know we spoke about this before, I can, Gail is very good about answering questions, but she's not speaking for the town.
Right.
And Martin's also very good about answering questions, but he is not speaking for the school.
Right,
So
right.
I'm trying to maneuver my way through
Yeah,
that.
and you're welcome. I mean, I don't know how we can directly, because we don't have any financial, I mean, we have a financial role, but we don't have any fingers in the financial. But I don't know if there are ways that you can, like, you would be welcome to CC me on communications if you want. I don't know if I want to volunteer Christine to be CC'd. Just to feel like there's a connection between the board and the school.
Or just if there's a concern.
Yeah.
Because I think we worked out a system, it seems to be working very well, but I kind of don't know, because.
Well, you have to, when we went through it, you do come in and review the checks.
Yes.
As does Scott.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's those 2 checks, and the questions that you raise are never even close to the ones that Scott raises. Because Scott sees things that are, different from what you can see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's more versed in, he's seen them over and over and over again, and some stuff, I think, and I don't mean to speak for you, that if it strikes you as odd, you certainly set it aside and go through and then come back and say, Gail or Ed, what is the issue here? So there's a double check there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope that I was clear both to you and to Gail. It's not that I expect anything. I mean, I trust her totally. It's just, I was surprised, and maybe it's just because of my age and my computer phobic nature, that a check could just be printed.
Yeah.
With
my
your,
name.
with your signature on it.
Exactly.
I mean, I understand that. That feels weird,
$1
right?
from the Hartland Elementary School.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I don't expect it to happen, but I was just surprised and needed to say.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
Hello. And that seems to be the way the state has said, we're gonna do business now, so
Right.
we're doing business now.
So every treasurer in the state is dealing with the same issue.
As I understand it, it's,
Yeah. It is kind of an awkward
Well,
position.
we've had, other treasurers already had signatures. Yours was one of the last that we had, but when we made this transition, it was to the state software. But we're also, unless you have more to say, I was gonna segue into something else about what you're talking about, and that is that as we've moved into this new software, it's created new requirements in terms of everything. And one of those requirements is that the way you go about buying something now at the school, if you're a teacher, has changed considerably, and that means that you have to create a purchase requisition and a purchase order, and then that goes to be an invoice. And along those lines, what a purchase requisition in the past in Hartland has been, see attached, which is some teachers scrawled on it, you know, a few things, and then there's no real purchase rec. So that's attached to your purchase order. And then the purchase order then comes to us to be turned into an invoice, which then either gets mailed or gets emailed to somebody to make the actual purchase, because a lot of vendors won't do a purchase without an invoice number. So,
Does anyone have to, I'm sorry, anyone have to approve the purchase
well, that was
order?
what I was gonna move on to, is that in the past, what's happened is that those roles have been pushed into different people. In most schools, what happens is there's one person that does the purchase rec, the purchase order, and the invoice. And in the case of Hartland, there's a purchase rec that, again, is just simply see attached, which now they're gonna make you type out. And then there's a purchase order, which then gets converted into an invoice after approval. And the approval is the principal, which in many cases has been all one role. The principals have said, I don't want to deal with this, and I want to just have them, I just want to do you do everything, and you approve the invoice. And what I've said to, in fact, today when I met with two of the principals, I've said, look, if you want to set aside and tell the person in your office that's doing all of this, you've got to tell them they have to do the rec, they have to do the purchase order. And as far as the approval is concerned, you as the principal can certainly say to them, here's my password, you can approve, right, with my password. Well, that's an option, and I can't stop that. But I can say that if anything ever happened in terms of an invoice getting paid, because there's one person doing it, there's no real check and balance. So if that happens, then the principal still would be responsible for that. You know what I mean? So that's really a decision, and unfortunately what this has done is it's created kind of a backlash at some of the schools because they don't want to do this, because they want to do it their own way. And our SU has always been a fairly loose confederation, and in order to make it work, we've had to accommodate a lot of stuff that wouldn't normally happen. And one of those has been this kind of the pony and all that stuff, you know. All of this stuff is done electronically in 90% of the state school districts. And what we're trying to move towards, and the state's pushing us towards, is exactly that. So I know I got an email from you about, you know, how are we going to do this? Well, I'm a little reluctant to roll it out with 3 months left in the year, you know. And what's happening is because of the amount of work that's resulted in this conversion to our software, new software, state mandated software, we're not staffed to do your invoicing anymore. Like Windsor does their own invoicing, West Windsor does their own invoicing. But Hartland and Wethersfield don't do their own invoicing. So we need to transition you at some point to where you're doing the invoicing, which will require someone in your district, your school, to become conversant or qualified to do that. And years ago, our former software system was NIMRIC, and we rolled out NIMRIC to the school districts back when there was another superintendent. And that was to do just what I'm talking about, but some schools took onto it and some schools didn't. And like I said, back then, Windsor did it. So the transition for Windsor is simply, we've got to use enough different software, you know? And they have to do purchase recs now and all that stuff, and it can't be C attached, because between the state and the accountants, that's not going to fly anymore. And the amount of issues that could bring up in terms of exactly what you've outlined, you know? So there's got to be those checks.
Good question.
Sure.
So the way it works now in Hartland, Linda does it. Like, I sign it after the fact. But teachers can go and purchase things. I mean, they know, like, they don't get approval before they go buy things. It seems like it's after the fact. Is that changing?
That's,
Or should it
in order
not
for
be
this
that
system
way?
to work, in order for this
As it is.
system to work,
Yeah.
that will have to change.
I mean, I'm not, and they don't abuse it. They'll go to Staples and things are on sale that they know they need, and they'll get them and bring the receipt, which is the C attached, and get reimbursed for it. So that will change.
Right, because there's no requisition. And the other thing that the state's brought to everyone's attention is that 90% of supply purchasing happens in the last 2 months of the year, which they're saying
Right? Yeah,
it shouldn't be like that.
right.
It should be the first 2 months of the year, not the
Disagree with
last
that.
2 months.
I think it makes sense to restock at the end of the year.
Well, if you're looking at it from a budgetary point of view, you're budgeting for the year you're going into. So you would think you'd buy your supplies so that you weren't at the end of the year saying, you know, well, what they're saying is, hee-haw, we got some money, let's go crazy, you know?
Right.
What they're saying is that purchasing should take place in the beginning of the year. And by bringing all this stuff in to the state, they're starting to be able to see the patterns. So I'm bringing this up because it's only going to get more and more and more constrained. I won't have the ability to make the kind of accommodations that I've been able to make in the last 10 years. You know, I just won't be able to. It'll be out of my hands. So it really behooves each one of the districts to start, like you say, if somebody goes to Staples, okay, but there's no rec. They're buying something without any approval at all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So those are things you're gonna have to work out as we go forward. And more of it's gonna have to happen at the school.
Okay,
So
so.
this sounds like a continued conversation.
Yeah.
Right, I just wanted to bring it up because it
Yeah.
does speak to
Yeah.
what you were
Yeah,
talking about.
exactly.
And are you thinking you're waiting, or we're waiting until next year to roll this out?
Yeah,
to
because
staff?
what we're, and that
I would
takes me.
roll it
to-
out over the summer, when you
Well,
have
that's-
fewer purchases.
Right.
And can come up to
I
speed.
mean, just letting them know.
Right.
Letting them know things are changing.
Right, and
Yeah.
what we're seeing now is we went live in their mind January 1st. So we've run 4 payrolls. And my payroll clerk quit Friday, okay?
I saw that.
So that tells you a little bit about how complicated this is. This woman had like 10 years' experience and she just blew up, couldn't do it. So now we're back to where we were. We're down a payroll person and we're trying to muddle through this. And in addition to that, we're rolling out these new processes in our own district and, you know, trying to get financial reports and things like that. It's much more complicated and much more time intensive. And we're finding it to be hard on our end, and there are changes that come down the line. So for me to roll something out right now and have them doing it a certain way, and then find out, there's a new change every week. It could be to payroll, it could be to AP, it could be to AR, it could be the way the accounts are. So what we're dealing with is, it's really fluid right now. So yes, I don't think it's a good idea to roll this out, but
Yeah.
it does speak to what you talked about, the frustration you're feeling in terms of people not getting things. Well, the problem is because we have to make it fit into the system.
Right.
And right now, we don't have somebody who can do your POs like they used to be able to do your POs. So the complaint comes down that we're not doing what we're supposed to do, but the old system ain't working.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a complaint, it was just a concern.
No, but it's a complaint that, not from you, but we
Right.
hear it from all the other schools, that they're not, the system isn't the same way. And then they want to get trained, and then you tell them they have to watch 12 hours of videos, because that's how we got trained.
They don't really want to get trained.
You know, because there's
How's
no,
that? And they're
there's
not
no person coming to train you. They hand you a video and say, watch the
But
video.
what's the remedy? So I mean, it's obviously a problem, so it's like, I just feel like right now it's just, like, we're stuck in it. So like, how can we as a
Patience.
school board and as principal, how can we make sure that our vendors are paid on time and that the teachers are getting what they need to for their supplies? Like, how can we make sure that's all happening in a timely fashion? Like, we know it's a pain in the
Well,
tuchus,
you're making
but like, how
decisions
can
about
we?
purchases before the purchase happens, like
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
saying.
Sometimes, not all the time.
I mean, you,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
How can we, I mean, what we're trying
I'm
to
not
do.
saying fix it, I'm just saying, what can we as a board and principal do to
I'm just trying to
support
make
that?
you aware of it,
Yeah.
because it's going to have an impact, and you're going to hear about it from the teachers, and you're gonna hear about it from your administrators. But again, it's not something we're doing at the SU simply to make your life miserable. We're
Right.
trying
Yeah,
to
we get
accommodate
that.
this. So
Right.
the solution to it is something that I met with people today about. We're trying to figure out how to make time, carve out time for the last 3 months to be able to do your POs, you know, because you've never done them before, and we have to do that. And your vendors are getting paid on time. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be these people that come through with these, I needed it absolutely right now. It might not be absolutely right now. It could be, we do payables twice a month in conjunction with the payrolls.
Yeah, they're used to that.
Right.
It's just the,
It's the fact that they've never done the purchase orders, and we've done the
Right.
purchase orders, and when it
Correct.
gets to our office, there's a lag now, because we're trying to get the whole system down so we can pay your bills on time. So I'm just asking you guys to be patient,
absolutely.
unless you wanna start watching the videos.
I think that's the thing
I
for
do
the
not.
summer.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I was
So-
gonna jump in, just, I think,
Yeah.
it may be obvious, but, I mean, for the board role, I think it's worth answering Beth's question as a board, and that we like reiterate policy in place, so
Yeah.
Christine Bourne has, so Principal Bourne has, you know, policy to point at when teachers are asking, why are we having to change the way, when the office says, why do we have to change? And, and we're working
What
on
is
that.
the policy
So-
that we have?
There is no policy.
And
There is
best
no policy
practice.
that I know of.
There are none.
Yeah.
And
Are
the
there any
only,
at the SU level?
no.
Because this is the SU.
We could never
issue.
get the SU we could never get the school districts or the SU to agree on something.
But there is general policy like that, there
I
has
think
to
what you
be,
said
there has
is
to be
policy.
bidding in the,
Best practice.
in
Best
the
practice.
neighborhood, you know, you can't always be going to the same electrician and the same painter
Right.
to,
Right.
kind of thing, so. And I wanted to jump in because Cheryl, if I may, remember you emailed me maybe a couple months ago, we were, when we started this conversation? That got me thinking about that, and Nikki said something a few minutes ago about how you could communicate with the rest of us. And I think that I might have shared this at another meeting, but if we go to Title 16, Section 426 about the duties of the town school district treasurer, I'll just read it because it kind of clarifies, and it is like we do it here in Hartland, the town treasurer shall be treasurer of the town school district. I mean, that's pretty clear, but the part that I think is important for this conversation is C, the treasurer shall pay out such money orders drawn by or upon the authority of the board of school directors. I think that's important because it's important to remind ourselves sometimes that our chief executive of the board is our superintendent. So you can feel totally, that you know, you can be confident that you're speaking to the board when you speak with the central office, like when you speak with Ed,
Yeah.
when you speak with David Baker, when you speak with Gail, you're speaking with the board. Because they're working for the board.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that can give you confidence and peace of mind that, like when you have a question, I ask Gail a lot, and Ed may have embellished a little bit, I'm not.
No, but
I'm
I
not
mean,
the treasurer,
Yeah.
I'm your,
but you
warrant,
ask
I'm your
more.
warrant signer, so I see all these things that are coming from Hartland, like these packets. There's this thick about the Staples days and the Aubuchon paint and the plow in the driveway and
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're
services.
lucky because you do look at them. A lot of times you just get signed off on. You're pretty diligent.
And
Thank
from
you.
my end, David and I are in communication almost daily.
Yeah.
So if something comes up and
Yeah.
you bring it to Gail or Ed, I'll know about it probably within a couple hours,
That's I
so.
wanted you to be confident and
Oh,
and
yeah.
not
Yeah,
leave
it's a-
like you didn't know
we're
who to
really a
talk to,
team.
or that you needed to talk to one of the faces of the board all the time.
Yeah.
Because Gail has always been
Yeah.
very good about
Yeah,
going the extra mile to answer my questions or explain something.
and me too. She helps me out a lot, and she always stops what she's doing to,
And I think, every larger organization I know is an electronic signature now. I don't know any. I was actually surprised when I got your email that we were hand signing them. So I was kind of like, okay, that's news.
We've tried to accommodate that as long as we can.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to keep us moving along because we do have some important stuff to talk about in the executive session. So Ed, you want to give us an idea of where we are?
Yeah.
Angie, I was taking notes.
Yeah.
Have you started?
No,
No, okay.
I looked around, I'm like, oh, Sarah's taking notes. If you wanna share it with me.
I just tried to share, and for some reason it's not letting me with the permission or something. But if you just want to start, I'll
Okay,
figure
then
out how
I
to
can
get it
share
to you,
them.
and we can just
you.
next one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Ed, thanks for pulling this together. I know that you probably got to our email at like 3 o'clock this afternoon and we're like, oh.
Section 426.
Thank you.
Maybe you already looked at that. I didn't mean to-
So I'd actually crossed you off. And,
Oh, I'm sorry, I tried to get this.
yeah, I was like, I made excuses. I was like, Ed was on vacation. I'm sure he didn't get our email in time.
Thanks,
And-
No, normally, in the good old days, when I could use the old system, I could throw something together pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, not by throwing it together, but I had the ability to go in and be able to look at it and make judgment calls on something like the encumbrances, for instance, and things like that. But now, it's trying to figure out how to get to these places. So what I have, in normal time, normally I've been able to give you a breakdown of stuff by revenue and then by object for the expenditures, and then attach the report that supports that. But honest to God, the report it's unless, the way it works now is that I could get reports right out of NIMRIC that were, I felt, good enough to show the board. But the reports you get out without using their Cognos part. So there's the software that does the actual computation, and then there's another layer, it's called Cognos, where you actually have to go in and do some programming to get the stuff. So we haven't quite mastered the Cognos part of this yet. So what I've been able to do is I've been able to download some of the stuff to Excel and use the Excel to make the report that you're looking at today. So the first page of this report is your revenue. And the reason it's $23,000 in the red is because if you look to where it says general state support, a general state support state, that negative 28,467, that's because they passed Act 185 2 years ago at the legislature when they were trying to claw back some of the money from the anticipated savings from health insurance. So they said, and late in the session, they legislated 2 years of, they were gonna just simply cut what they gave from whatever the calculation was for your state support by a certain amount. And then this year, this is the last year of those 2 years, yours was gonna be cut by 28,467. So that's why, and then there's other things that have come in that have offset some of that, but you're still $23,000 in the red. And then the expenditures, this is where I'm cautious, because I'm still, with the payroll person leaving, we're still trying to, we transitioned from NIMRIC as of the 31st of December, and we moved into this new environment, and we're trying to get both of them to merge correctly. So what I'm seeing is that some of the encumbrances that came over need to be looked at, and I don't have time right now, or I didn't have time to get here. So that's why you're looking at a wage of $162,000 and a benefit of $158. Those need to be looked at. I think that there's some, they're gonna run a little surplus there. I'm not sure whether that's the total surplus you're gonna run.
Gotcha.
But the rest of it, I'm pretty comfortable with,
Okay.
you know?
How uncomfortable are you with the wages and benefits? Like 10% or 70%?
25%.
Okay.
I think we've done a very good job of moving them over. I just wanna make sure that we're reading the numbers correctly.
Yeah, no, that's
That's
good.
all.
I just want to know how.
So when you take what I put here, so that right now with those in there, you're running $359,000 in the black. You combine those two, and you're looking at a surplus of $353,660.48, which is about a 4.4% the 3 months ago. And there's inevitably, I put in an encumbrance for, if you look on page 2, I put in an encumbrance for textbooks and supplies of $35,000. There are no encumbrances in there because we're not doing the purchase order. Because if that process works, what happens is every time that gets entered, it actually enters in the encumbrance. So it means if you are going to buy something for $1,000 and you go through the process, it gets recorded as an encumbrance. And then when it gets paid, it relieves that encumbrance. And right now, we don't have that. When you do things that are kind of on the fly, the only way we can record that expense is when we actually pay the invoice. So that's one of the benefits to having a rec and all that stuff, because it does give you more accurate. But the 35,000 you see in for textbooks and supplies is completely an encumbrance that I put in there.
Okay. We just assume, you assume that's gonna happen. Basically.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ed. I'm
You're
gonna
welcome.
keep us moving.
Thank you very much.
Good. I am really impressed that you came back from vacation and pulled this off. When Christine and I sent our email and we heard back that you were on vacation, we were like, yeah.
Well, I know what it's like this time of year not to be able to know where you are. And Christine's
Yeah.
ever diligent. She really wants to know where she is.
I do.
Yes,
Track.
we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Ed.
Ed.
Okay, so Beth, if you want to give us 2 sentences on the regular do. Cheryl, you're welcome to stay, or you're welcome to.
Thank you.
Enjoy the
Thank you.
sunshine.
And never hesitate to come and talk to us. We appreciate the impulse and the spirit of transparency and openness. Seriously, I wanted to say that.
Yeah,
I really do.
I do appreciate it.
Because we
You know,
wouldn't have known anything.
We
about it
wouldn't have,
otherwise.
right, we
Yeah.
don't.
Unless there's a problem, we don't hear about it, and we're just kind of like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, then, that's good.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. We do hear about problems, I will give you.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. It was great to put a face with an email. So,
There's not much to report on food. The job posting's out for the new food service manager. I have no idea what the response has been.
How do you find that job posting?
It's in School Spring. I can send you, I think I have a link somewhere in my email, but now, we just need to hammer out the job description a little bit more, so I just wanna edit that, but I've been
It's pretty
slack with
thorough.
work right
Yeah.
now. But, I did share it with the Woodstock folks and with Kathy up in, Alexander up in Ashland, and, they just seemed like, great, so excited for you guys. Gretchen offered that if whoever, like if Steve or anyone really wanted to shadow at any point, her, that she's more than happy to have that happen.
Oh, that's cool.
That was really
Who
nice
was
of
that?
her.
What was her name?
Gretchen Shaza? Don't ask me how to spell that last name.
I'll spell it the way we spell it in Hartland.
You can say Woodstock Food Service Manager.
Gretchen Woodstock.
Yeah, Gretchen Woodstock.
It says we have
Which is
4 applicants.
Great.
Oh, that's
I
good.
only see 3, which is interesting.
Does it have an ID that I could punch into this?
School Spring?
Yeah. No,
It's
that,
just-
that one there that you're looking at, because I'm on the site, but I don't, how do I?
Was there an ID number for the?
How do I find
Oh,
that
job ID.
particular job?
3065988.
Yeah, so it should be good.
Oh, so
I
exciting.
increased the qualifications of that. So
There it is.
hopefully we can
Got
send
it.
applicants.
Thank you.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, so with those, with that.
I wanted to ask about something about that, because it didn't, I was wondering why it didn't say a little more specifically about reporting to the central office.
I went back and forth with David on, so he was putting forth a job posting. That's all he wanted to put out. So it was significantly less detailed
Oh, I see.
than what
Than a
a
full
job description.
Okay, you
So-
guys are still working on this?
So he wants to only give out the job description once people apply, and he has an initial, like, quick conversation with folks,
Yeah,
so that'll be more.
yeah. I mean, that was so integral to our whole conversation about position and everything like.
Yeah, I'm happy to share once the job description, once I get a little more solid, I can send it around to everybody. It's just a Google Doc right now, so.
That makes sense.
And that information is, I mean, there's so much in that Google Doc that's very thorough.
And all I did, I took Woodstocks and and jazzed it up a little. They seem to have a great program and a great staff, so that's what I put in there.
And they wanted to share.
Yeah, and they wanted to share with us, so.
Okay, so let's do the principal's report.
So those
Okay.
are brilliant.
I highlighted, everybody has it, right? I shared it this morning. I highlighted the last couple of months, we really met, and I'm sure you're probably aware of some of these things that have happened at school, but I like to point out some good stuff that's going on. So we had a successful book fair, and they're about to get ready to spend some of that money on some local authors coming in, which is exciting. It amazes me that it always makes a good amount of money, which is great, so. We surprised Mr. Pierce with a retirement assembly, which was awesome. The band played, and he surprised us with more grant money, so hopefully the people that have taken over will continue that tradition. So use that money for STEM activities. Oh, Angie's here, we're working with Angie, Beth, and actually tomorrow. They're working with me to deliver some professional development around instructional strategies during our staff meetings to address our CIP goal around engaging all learners. So we're looking, we started with getting a sense of where they were at, what instructional strategies we use primarily at school, and there was quite a range. And then we're going to be highlighting a few tomorrow in an activity, so it's exciting. We had some great holiday concerts, I'm sure most of you were there, and our winter activities program went off pretty well this year. We added skating, which was exciting. The kids really.
Did they have like skating lessons or just?
At the rink, Amy Cam, who teaches up there.
She teaches figure skating.
Yeah, she led it, and yeah, so, yeah, so I think we had.
Figure skating?
Yeah, so she led that with other adults and
I
kids.
did.
Yeah, that's great.
She taught Dorgan.
Yeah.
She made a program
Yeah.
for Dorgan.
Nice.
If you have a middle schooler, you may have heard about the rollout of the PBIS system change at the middle school level. We're still, I would say our middle schoolers still don't really buy into PBIS that well, but they had their voice in the process here and changing up, getting tokens. They have these punch cards now, and we all have hole punches, and they brainstormed rewards, which include wearing your hat for a day. If you hold your card, it can be, if you get two full punch cards, it increases. So then you can wear your hat for a week, or they came up with it. So yeah, so we're testing it out. It definitely needs reminders, as everything does, because you just get pretty rude when you forget to kind of honor the kids. So, but they presented it, and it was great, so we're working on that. We had Read Across America at the beginning of this month, logged over 400 hours of reading. We challenged our kids, and if they made, the goal was 300, if they did it, we had a celebration where, as you can see, actually Nikki saw me after that.
Yep, oh yeah.
One team member blindfolded, the other team member, the blindfolded team member got to put makeup on the other team
My
member.
kids were trying to describe
Oh my gosh,
this to
they
me.
loved it.
I was
It was
laughing
like
so hard, I was like,
Such a
this-
hit, yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you
fun.
weren't putting on the name of the other, they thought.
Yeah, it was
I give so many points to
Seriously.
Christine for walking around the building
Oh, I had it
with
all
her makeup.
over me.
All over it, yeah.
I walked in and I was like, this is an amazing place. It was just
It was really
so
fun.
neat.
The kids just like could not stop talking about it.
Yeah,
I heard
it
so
was
many
so
kids talking
neat.
about it. It was,
Yeah.
it made
It
an
was
impression.
fun. You'll see later on. Oh, next, we which I think you know, we
So awesome.
Yeah.
received the Cliff
So exciting.
Award, which I have to say Teresa really took on doing a lot of the paperwork and coordinating, and it's $25,000 that we're gonna figure out how to make work for us. And part of the kind of just initial comments were, we could do an assembly like this every month, having some
Reading club.
yeah, some people. So there's a conference in Fairleigh on the 27th. Patty Gray has agreed to be the coordinator, and she's going to go. I think I think Amy is going to go. Amy
McMullen.
McMullen, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh, cool.
yeah. and some other staff members to plan out what it's gonna look like next year, so I'm very excited.
So is the conference with like fellow Cliff recipients and stuff?
Yeah, 10 schools are, 5 in New Hampshire, 5 Vermont are awarded, and yeah, and it's a pretty thorough process from what I've heard. You have a plan, you get a coach, I think, that comes in.
Exactly, yeah, they have, so there's a lot of like professional development stuff that they do, and they always invite an author to come and sort of, you know, talk about how to share books, and how there's past schools come and talk about what worked for them, and I've been to a few of them, and they're great. I think that Patty will really like it, yeah.
Actually, Sarah's the one that sent the link to apply.
Well, but Teresa, I just
Yeah.
want, I mean, Teresa's really
Ran with it.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah, she
amazing,
did.
it's an
She
amazing
did.
program.
So we're very excited. We kicked off a kindness campaign Friday, and this is Beth Hortz, and her daughter Brooke is in 5th grade. And she came last year. She works at Hypotherm, and they allow their staff to do some community service, and she chooses to do it at Hartland School. So we've kicked off a kindness campaign, which ties into our theme this year. And the kids are doing kindness clouds, K2, kindness cards, 3-5, and the 6-8 kids are making friendship bracelets. And Beth is going to be in taking pictures and interviewing, and she's going to make us a music video, which she announced at the assembly. And I was super excited, and the kids were like, music videos, like, that's like 80s, MTV, right? Anyway, it's going to be great. Well, yeah. So I just wanted to update you on some fundraisers, keep you in the loop. The Yankee candle from the PTSF, sold $1,826, which was great. And they make about $730. 8th grade's basket and spaghetti dinner really was successful as well. About $2,200 for 2 of those. I think I have their, I think in the future slide I'll update you on their
That was
fundraiser.
good meal.
Yeah. Yeah, they do a good job. It's beautifully decorated.
That's
They
it.
do a nice job.
It was fun.
It was a parent, Gracie's mom, Nikki Fortier, was the point person on that one. This is her 4th child, so she's got, when I was there, they knew just what they were doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we'll miss her next year. We're also kicking off a Community Connections Month. One of our goals is to really bring in the community and, you know, build those connections with families. So it's really just about getting people in and having fun. We've got listed coffee in the lobby. We'll be out there. We've got open gym times for kids. We've added a resilience film. Andrew, I'm going to forget his last name, Lito, I believe. He came, he's been to the community breakfast and the summit at the Elks, I think it's the Elks or the VFW in Windsor. There's a summit put on by MAP, Mascotney
Prevention
Partnership, thank you. And they're actually letting us, they have the film, so he came to the PTSF meeting and wanted to show it in Hartland.
Nice.
It's very powerful, yeah, so that's on the 5th. We've got our Super Bowl party happening on the 10th, which is grant-funded wellness grant that Angie CH coordinated. The kids are all making their own ceramic bowls and art and
I've
firing
been
them.
hearing about this, but not
Yeah.
understanding what was gonna happen.
Yeah, and then we're gonna have some healthy food in the bowls, and then we're gonna invite parents to have some, if it's nice out, do some outdoor games. Joe and John from the rec are coming to help,
And this is for April.
this is April, yeah, I'm sorry, that's not on there, yeah, it's April, next month.
Are those on the school calendar? Like, so if I've got the calendar in my Google, will they show up?
I'll ask Linda, she was in charge of advertising, but I will,
Because that would be really helpful.
yeah, I will ask her to put those on
Yeah,
there,
because
if they're not.
I have a link to the school calendar in Gmail, which
Okay.
is like.
Isn't that great?
I've got to
don't
figure out how
have
to
that.
do that. That would be hugely helpful.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's so helpful, and I wish I could tell you how I did
You
it, but I did it.
Where do you start?
What about the other calendar curating system that the town uses? That is another app.
Right.
The library
Laura
started
Burr
using
stresses.
Burbio.
Burbio,
Yeah.
there you go. And Laura was telling me
Huh.
about.
I
Yeah.
might use that.
It adds some stuff to your phone
it's sort of, yeah, it's supposed to mix together all the different calendars, so you know everything
Right.
that's going on in
Yeah,
Hartland on any
exactly.
day, but I
So if
haven't.
we were like in that, then
figured it out
everybody
yet.
in town
Could
could
see
see.
that.
their-
See that, right.
It's called Burbia.
You might
Birdie
reach out
out,
to
yeah.
Amy McMullen.
Yeah, she would.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
Amy,
Laura.
she could.
Yeah, or Nancy could.
Okay, all right. So we're
Oh,
excited.
So that's a library-based
Great.
initiative, Burbio?
I think so.
Oh,
Yes,
that's right.
Okay,
yes.
I was only hearing it from Laura because Laura's.
On the library
On the
board.
library
Yeah,
board,
okay, I get it now.
So we've got some exciting things going on, and we
Yeah,
hope that
this
we
is
have
great.
lots of community members coming in. I just thought you might be curious as to where the kids are going for high school, so I put that in there. 59% this year going to Hartford, 21% going to Windsor.
When I looked at this, Christine, I was wondering,
Mhm.
what's the class size again, and what, and so
This is
what
a
would a
big
class,
class.
each
I think
student
it's-
represents like 2 or 3%? I mean, what would be the?
that's a good
I think it's 40, around 40 kids.
It's a big
41,
class, yeah, it's 40, 41, 42. maybe.
I didn't do it, actually, Gene did this for me, so I can't tell you offhand, but he actually had a list of all the kids, I didn't, put that in here.
Some of these numbers too some of them may have resolved slightly differently.
This is not, right, there were actually some changes
Yeah.
after.
Like, I don't think there are 5 kids going to Hanover, I think there are
41.
3.
No, it's 2 kids, but 5%.
5%, okay,
That's a
got it.
percentage.
Sorry, that, I
Yeah.
know that,
I
yes.
think it's 2.5% per kid.
Okay.
It's gotta be, right,
Yeah,
because
that
I think
makes
there were
sense,
2
yeah.
on that list going to
There's
Hanover.
only 2,
Yeah.
yeah, and only 1 going to Woodstock, I think.
Yeah, so that's just for your
Yeah,
information.
That's cool.
Great, yeah, thank you.
Yep.
So these are kind of some general things that are going on. We've been doing the SVAC interims to get us ready, and using the data for FIT time, which is focused instruction time, is really intervention time at school, which we're trying to launch this year. In the middle of spring TMPs, Brittany and I are working on your review meetings, one-on-one with each staff member, taking time to get a sense of what's working, what's not, how we can help, kind of the direction they would like to see us go. We're planning for summer school. Have some staff interested, Angie's helping with that, it's grant funded, so we have particular things we want to make sure we have in place.
I'm like, are you being blinded?
See,
You can
blinded.
come over here, Angie.
I think I will.
Yeah.
The third trimester electives have started. We have one group in the woods, blazing trails down there in the 17-acre wood, which is just really exciting to me. The kids, they love it.
He's really excited.
Yeah, Mr. Samuel is great, is taking that on, yeah. So we're gearing up for a fitness grant, we're gearing up for testing season. The science test, SBACs, fitness grant, they're all coming in late April, May. I think the tests
Fitness
are
grant?
all, yeah, April and May.
Yeah, April and May, I think I think it's
There's a whole
April, just a
testing
second, I
test
can tell
calendar,
you.
Yeah, they're coming, they're coming.
They're coming.
They're coming, we know the dates. We formed an SU data team, actually, that Angie's kind of spearheading with the coaches, and I've joined it, because we really want a effective and efficient way to look at all the data we collect, and if we're not using it, why are we collecting it? So
Exactly.
we want some protocols and a plan that's kind of streamlined so that we can look across the SU at data as well. So it just formed, we're doing a book study, reading data-wise, which kind of helps you plan for this kind of work. So the 8th grade trip has been finalized. They're going overnight to Lake George, May 29th and 30th. Really excited about the trip. Alyssa is the 8th grade advisor, and she has planned it and is in the process of getting chaperones. She secured the campsites and all the things that need to go into planning that trip. So the kids voted, this is what they want to do. It's gonna be exciting. Somebody's staying up all night, that's all I know, to be chaperoning.
Yes.
Parents, there are quite a few parents that have volunteered. We have 5 staff members that are going, and they take shifts and stay up all night to make sure there's
Are they
nothing going on.
with their fundraising, or
They use their fundraising dollars, yeah.
That's great. And so is it just a camping trip, or are there any, like,
They are going to, what is the?
Six
the park there?
Flags.
Six Flags there.
Oh,
So
okay.
they spend,
Okay, gotcha, yeah.
They spend all their money for Six Flags and then.
Are they going to Fun Spot too?
And the history, the museum.
Are they doing the same itinerary we
I
did in
think
the
it's
past?
the same itinerary revived, yeah.
Cruise on Lake George,
I don't know if they're doing.
I don't
the,
know that they're
Fort.
doing that.
the fort,
Yeah, the
we,
fort.
the fort was being renovated one year,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm not sure about that.
So-
I know they're going to Six Flags, but.
Is that a
that's the
restaurant?
second day, and then the, it used to be.
It's the Fort Ticonderoga.
No, there's
No,
also,
no,
no,
no.
there's a
No.
fort in Lake George.
Lake George.
Lake George.
Um,
I guess we all
that
should
we
be
would
going.
go through, I can't tell you.
Yeah, right.
The
Maybe your
fort in
Geography
Lake
is never
George.
again.
Yeah, she's
So learn
done,
about the fort.
she's done a really
Henry,
great
Fort
job
Henry.
coordinating, I
Yeah,
think.
it's great. Yeah, it's been a lot
It's been a lot.
to do.
She's
and- yeah.
come to me a few times and said, why didn't you tell me there was this much work involved? I'm like, I didn't know, I never did that. I
Yeah.
never had
She
that
asked the
role
wrong
back
person.
then. She asked the wrong person.
Yeah.
But it's good, because she's getting to know the community and the kids,
Yeah.
you know, really like her, so. And that concludes that, unless you have
Thank you.
questions.
Did you say, and Kelly Meacham formed a team to, and applied to the Farm
Yes.
School Institute?
Yes, I
So
didn't put that on.
great.
She
They should
did.
find out fairly soon. If they get it, they'll be,
Mhm.
spend 3 days up at Shelburne
This
Farms
summer, yep.
in the end of June.
And there's
And
members,
then have ongoing professional development all through the year.
and it's across Weathersfield and Hartland, right? Where the
Yeah, I think like it was one of those, if, and we, the new food service person would be kind of like required to go.
Right.
What's it called?
It's the Farm to School, the New England Farm to School Institute. And it's at Shelburne Farms.
And is it students that go or
No,
adults?
it's adults. It's, so there's a team of adults from the school, so they want, you know, teachers, food service, any administration, community
Farm to
members.
School.
Institute.
Institute, yep. They've
But it's a
been
year-long
before.
program.
I think she's been before, right? Was
Who?
Kelly? Has
No,
Kelly
if it
been?
was like a very long time. No,
Okay.
they've gotten a grant, but they never got, I don't think
Okay.
they've ever been to the institute.
Okay.
And then they'd be stuck with me as a coach for the year.
Oh, that would be awesome.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Okay,
Right.
so we need, I wanna set the next agenda and then I wanna go into executive
Okay.
session. So things that are on my list for the next agenda is I wanna keep on finances, and then we need to get the building committee up and rolling.
The 5-year?
Yeah,
Okay, will Jim Taft be on that? He,
yeah,
So should he be at the next meeting?
yeah, he's spoken to me about it. He said when the board brings it up, let
Okay.
them know
the
that.
board is bringing it up, and
Okay.
I don't know if you wanna help
I
me
can
and
do- yeah.
Jim
Mhm. I
communicate,
can do
or?
that, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're gonna plan
Do
to.
you wanna remind me that I'm doing
Yeah,
this?
you're gonna plan to form a committee, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
okay.
so I think at the next meeting, we need to figure out who we want on the committee and make
Okay.
sure it's representative
Good.
and solicit community. So those are the two things I have. Sarah, you had a great list going, is,
Just things that had sort of rolled over from my notes that I wanted to make sure we didn't
yeah.
let sort of fall off the radar. And one of them was rescheduling the community
Yeah.
forum, which has
Do that.
had the worst luck of any event ever.
Yes.
So that was one thing. And there, I mean, I think, Christine, you answered, a few of them were just like,
Yeah.
what's happening? Is this happening? Is this, you know?
I can update on 2 of them.
That would be great.
So I had spoken with Jean about the high school surveys and getting
Yep.
a sense of our kids prepared for high school at the beginning of the year, and how, you know, we did interview our 8th graders at the end of last year. We plan to do that again.
Yep.
And I asked him if he was, you know, still interested. He said very interested in doing those high school surveys
Yep.
with kids and going to the high schools and having
Yeah.
kids. So he is on that. I told him that I would get some coverage for him so that he could, I mean, it's a lot to put
Yeah.
on him. So we're gonna get that going.
Yep.
And then the proficiency-based grading,
Right.
I brought to Angie's attention.
Yep.
And is
We
that a
put it on
survey?
the ad team agenda.
Yeah, is that a survey
Yeah.
we want to create across, you know,
Yeah.
districts? So,
Yeah.
We have done some information gathering on that. I mean, you may recall that Christine and I held a forum
We did.
last year that no one attended.
And no one came to. I know, it's, oh,
So,
But, yeah, we definitely, those two things are
yeah,
for sure on the
yeah.
forefront.
And is the first one addressing the question about math and kids finishing up?
Oh,
Right,
that
that's
one.
right, that was the other, just for a progress report on that.
That is in the works, right?
I don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
algebra
That's
at
about-
Windsor.
For eighth
Eighth grade
graders?
algebra.
Yes, we're developing a plan.
For that.
We
And-
should be able to, we're meeting with the principals April 4th to look at transportation logistics. We should be able to report. When's the date of the next meeting?
We don't have
Yeah,
one
I
yet.
don't have one. I guess
Okay,
it would be.
will it be
fourth
dependent
Monday.
on what the SU board
No, we made a
does?
new, we made, remember last meeting, we made a new time. It's not fourth Monday anymore, it's maybe third Monday.
Wait, who was?
Oh, wait, did we switch it?
It was a third Monday, that's
That's
why I
right, we
said
did
it with a
talk about
question.
that.
So it's during break?
It's not
Well,
gonna be,
I mean,
yeah.
that was, we
Oh.
don't have to, it doesn't have to be
Oh,
hard
we'll
and
start
fast.
the-
Yeah,
I see.
okay,
I
well,
think
we'll
we
do
may
that.
TBD.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I also, I sent an email to David and Christine. I went to an engineering conference on Thursday and listened to the dean of University of Maine's engineering school. And he highlighted that they have a lot of students that come in and have to do an extra year of schooling to prove that they're capable of being engineers, and it's called a pre-engineering year. And they're not even allowed to apply to the engineering school until they've met all the prerequisites for the engineering school. And so starting algebra in eighth grade is critical to being on that path. And I immediately, like, as I'm listening to the guy, I'm texting away, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I just heard this from
I was
everybody.
saying,
It's nurses.
That's what everybody
Eighth grade,
says.
He
It's like,
said that all
you
in
just-
one
Well, he didn't
sentence.
say algebra in eighth grade, but you need to have, you need to be into calculus by the
So I'll
time.
just
It, like,
tell
lines
you
you
that
up.
our Eureka Math program is heavily, has algebra in eighth grade. It's just not called algebra, it's
Right.
called eighth grade math. It has a lot of algebra, but because of, it depends on the strength of the program all the way through.
Exactly.
We're not there yet across the supervisory union. What I will also tell you that not all of the teachers thought that we needed to have a separate algebra program for eighth graders because they felt they were meeting their algebra needs in their buildings.
Yeah.
So, but we got consensus and that's the idea.
Yeah.
So,
And there was some talk about whether the teacher would travel or the kids would travel. Has that been decided? Which,
there'll be one program
Yeah.
that children attend from all schools.
and how, do we have a sense of how much, I mean, if getting kids on a bus, and I mean, they're gonna lose some
That's what we need to.
We're gonna
instructional
figure that out.
time, yeah.
Plan.
Yeah,
So there wouldn't-
logistically, it's going to be a commitment from the schools and from the families and the
Yeah.
children that are involved. So,
So, and it wouldn't be, I mean, obviously, I'm sure you guys talked about just putting one teacher in a car and going to the 3 different schools
Yeah.
and doing, and there's no, that can't work because just
it wasn't even
schedules and-
discussed.
It wasn't even discussed?
Cool, 'cause
An
you use
itinerant
that
teacher?
for
Would-
half
Would it
Um,
a
be,
day.
So, first of all, I would just say like, that would be another year's worth of planning because we'd have to hire an itinerant teacher to do that. So that's not in your budgets now, right?
okay, and there, okay.
So I think that, I mean,
We're trying
That-
to, right now, just work out our schedules so
Right.
everybody has first
Yeah,
period.
yeah,
math,
so-
And the times, our start times are different, and we've got a lot of logistics to work out, but.
It's, yeah,
it's a commitment and you have to do the trade-off. Each family is gonna have to make that decision
Right.
based on their goals for their child.
yep,
So, or their child's goals.
But it's
okay.
exciting.
Thank you for the
Yeah,
update.
exciting.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Okay, so for right now, for the agenda for the next meeting, I have finances and building committee, and then an update on the, give me a word. What?
Forum?
The forum.
Form days.
Thank you.
Maybe-
Form, yep.
Maybe the three of us can connect. and
Good,
see
yeah,
what's
yeah,
up.
that's a good idea.
I know the 3-5 Wildcat Council would like to come do a little presentation.
Oh, that'd be perfect, yes.
They would like to chat with you about, if
Okay.
they're not too scared. They
Um,
are.
So that would put us into executive session at 6:22 to discuss a personnel matter.